Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about my favorite books of 2025. I'm so excited to finally be able to share all of these with you. I have had an amazing reading year. I'm sorry if you can hear the scratchiness in my voice. I have been sick and I'm trying to recover, but my voice is likely to get worse and worse throughout this video. So just prepare yourself. I've got my water here. I'm going to try to keep it together. I have 10 books. I have narrowed it down to 10. 10 books with an honorable mention. I have one that I just have to throw in there, but these I actually did rank them with my least favorite books of the year. They were all just kind of thrown in there, and any day I could change the order or whatever. But these I have actually ordered them, and I don't know, I might change my mind mid-video for some of them, but my top two are solid. Those I know that they are there. They're just astonishingly good books. But okay, let's get started with honorable mention. I hate to even say honorable mention. Like, here's the deal with this book. This book is Death at Morning House by Maureen Johnson. So the reason that I didn't put this in my top 10 list is because every year that I've read a Maureen Johnson mystery, it's been in my top 10. And I feel like I should do other books the service and just mention that Maureen Johnson is a forever favorite. If I read a Maureen Johnson, just assume that it was probably one of my favorite books of the year, because that's just how it is. That's just how it is. And this was not a Stevie Bell mystery, which is all the other mysteries that I've read from Maureen Johnson. They've all been part of the Stevie Bell Truly Devious series. And this was like an introduction to a new character named Marlowe. And I thought I wasn't going to like it as much because I'm very in Stevie's world, and that I loved Marlowe, and I hope Marlowe can get a series too. Like, that would be fine with me. Marlowe was just fun to be in her head, and all the characters were fun. So basically, Marlowe has had just some really bad luck. She has been just pining after this girl for ages, and then they finally get together, and on their first date she burns a house down. So it didn't go well, and everybody knows that it was Marlowe and her own careless mistake, and she just needs to get away for a while. So she goes to work at this house that is open for tourism but has like some historical it has some history to it. Some people died there, and Marlowe is there as part of the tour guide company. I could not think of the word company, but she's working for that company that does the tours. And it's an island. They have to go to it by a boat. So it's gonna end up being like a closed mystery where they're stuck there. A storm comes and they're stuck at this place and nobody's there, just the kids that do the tours. So a bunch of teenagers Marlowe's age. And fun, so much fun. It's I am a YA mystery thriller girly. I will read any of them and love most of them, but Maureen Johnson just knows how to do it. Just knows how to do it for sure. And there's so much like not tension, I guess. It just, Marlowe is she's really into this girl that's there at the beginning of the house burns down. I already told you this. But then when she leaves to go to this place for, is it the summer? I don't remember the length of time, but she's gone from the girlfriend. So how do we keep the romantic tension alive? Like, there's another girl there that's kind of like a will they won't they situation. She's not cheating. I don't think there's no cheating. Don't worry about that. But it's just, it keeps the lesbianness alive through the whole book. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I always with Maureen Johnson. I think we're getting another Stevie Bell mystery in 2026. Can't wait. So excited. Okay, that was the honorable mention. So that means we need to start with my number 10 favorite book of 2025, and that is Immaculate Conception by Ling-Ling Wang. I need to get a copy of this. I borrowed this from the library, and I should have just bought it. This was my first experience with this author. I had not read Natural Beauty. I still haven't read Natural Beauty, and I want to, but I kind of went into it cautiously because a lot of times, like, Natural Beauty was really popular, had a lot of hype, and usually books like that don't go well for me. So I was thinking, probably not gonna like it. Boy, was I wrong. So we're following Inca and Matilda, I think, are the two main characters. It's been a long time since I read it, but they are artists, and I absolutely loved the art stuff. Like, I can't do art. I can't do anything. I can't draw a stick man. I don't know anything about it, but I loved the art talk and the art that was done, and how the things that they were trying to say with their art. I found that fascinating. And then there was the very toxic relationship between Inca and Matilda that was fun. That's not the word. That's not the word I should say. But it was wild. It was wild to see that develop into what it did. And I think that a lot of it is in the synopsis, like a lot of what actually ends up happening, but I feel like it's a spoiler to say, like, there's just a whole bunch of, like, technology going on where people are not who they seem, and you can infiltrate others' minds and clone things, like, just lots of stuff's going on. And this just goes places. It just keeps going. It just keeps going beyond what I think is happening, and then it's like, no, I'm gonna take it a step further than that. And just very well written, definitely getting the point across, but still being interesting. And I almost feel like I should say more things, but I'm too scared that it's a spoiler because I can't, like, open the book and read the synopsis. So I don't want to say too much, but yes, absolutely read it. I'm going to read more from this author. Anything that she wants to write, I'll read it. In my number 9 spot, I also have another library book that I need to get a copy of, but it is The Wedding People by Alison. Is it Espach or Espach? I don't know how to say the author's name, but anyway. So The Wedding People, I feel like I'm the last person to read it, and I probably don't even have to give a synopsis, but if you're curious, if you actually haven't read it, this book follows Phoebe, who has been struggling since her marriage fell apart, and decides that she wants to end her life and decides how she wants to do it. And so she shows up at this location ready to do it and ends up being mistaken for one of the wedding people. So there's a wedding going on at this venue where she's decided to end her life, and no one else is supposed to be there except for the wedding party. And so when she arrives, she's just mistakenly included with them, and the bride takes quite an offense when she finds out that Phoebe's planning to basically spoil the bride's big day. It's presented that way, like the bride is not mad necessarily that she's going to end her life. She's mad that it's going to ruin the wedding. And it's just presented, it's such a heavy topic. And at first I felt like it was too heavy. Like it felt like it was crushing me for the first part of the book, where you're just in Phoebe's head and she's done. And it's terrible. It was hard to read. And then when you start to interact with these wedding people, and they're also quirky, and the bride is the quirkiest of them all, and it becomes more fun. And as Phoebe gets wrapped up in these activities that the wedding people are doing, and she starts to, like, see what kind of figuring out what she wants her life to look like, if she wants to keep living it, what it could look like. And those things became more heartwarming and more fun. And it definitely didn't keep that heavy tone the whole time, or I would have never made it. I would have had to DNF. But it handled what it was trying to say with such grace, and it just made life seem so beautiful. It is beautiful. It didn't make it seem beautiful. It just reminded you that life is beautiful. And it did it over and over in so many different ways. Like, the good stuff is beautiful and the bad stuff is beautiful because you're alive. Just be alive. And I just I found so much value in the book and in the things that it was saying. It was such a good time. Very important book and a very fun book at the same time. Like, it's not the whole time you don't feel like you're being beat over the head with a message. So it was great. I highly recommend it. My number 8 book is also a library book. How did I put all my library books in succession? But it's Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. I actually had 2 experiences this year that I don't think I've ever had before, and Station 11 is one of the books, and then there's another one later in the list. But I read a 5-star book, a favorite of the year book, and then after that, usually I have just like downer after downer. Like, nothing can be that book. I want to just read that book over again, and the other books that follow it are just never gonna live up. And I had Station 11, I read after another 5-star book, and it was 5 stars again. So that's not something I'm usually able to do. I'm just so emotionally invested in a 5-star book that the next book is just gonna be a letdown. It's just gonna be. And not Station 11. It was still a beautiful book. It follows a lot. It follows a lot of different characters and a lot of different situations, and it kind of bounces back and forth, but there's like 3, I think, main people that we're following, and I just remember Clark. And what's Kirsten, and then there's another guy who's trying to leave. Anyways, so there's an apocalyptic level flu, like a pandemic, and everybody's getting it and dying. And then the few people that survive, it kind of follows their journey. Like, you get the stories of people before the flu, leading up to the flu, and then you get some people survive. Like, some people you just get to their death, and then some people survive and we get to follow them for their journey and kind of see how it all fits together. Like, sometimes you're reading about a person and you're like, how is this relevant to this other person that I was just reading about? But it is. It all comes together. But you're not just waiting around to see how it resolves. Like, the stuff that's going on is just, it's a lot to think about, and it's a lot to experience as these people are experiencing it. It's certainly not a lighthearted read, but it feels very important. Like, the whole time you're like, wow. Like, what would humanity do in these situations? And then now, like, having been through a pandemic, not of that proportion, but like having been through it and seeing how people behave, like, you can kind of, it almost lends more value to the book because you can really believe that people would do this. You can really believe that this is how things would turn out, that people take things to such a level, and that some people are just have such strong characters that they can survive and persevere through these types of things. And like, it was a very powerful read. I have not read any more from this author. Like, that was the next thing I wanted to do, was pick up another Emily St. John Mandel, and I did not do it. That needs to be one of my first reads for 2026. In my number 7 spot is a book I actually possess. It's How to Survive Your Murder by Danielle Valentine. I've had this on my shelf for a long time, and I wanted to read it at Halloween because it takes place on Halloween, I think it's actually Halloween night. So it's it's kind of a time, playing with time. That's one of my favorite topics in a book, is books that play with time. It doesn't have to be necessarily time travel. It can be like a time loop, or just things being like non-linear in some way. I just really enjoy that. So we've got, I'm sorry, I don't remember anyone's names. So we've got Alice. Alice is our main character. And her sister Claire is already, like, I think it may go through like her death very quickly at the beginning. I can't remember if we actually get the scene, but like, you're already aware that her sister has died and was murdered on Halloween night. And you understand that Alice holds herself responsible for what happened. She didn't do it, but she feels she could have prevented it. And she did witness some of the things that happened, and so she has got to testify against the person that they've put on trial for the murder. And on the day of the trial, she gets knocked out in the bathroom, and she wakes up and it's Halloween night again and her sister's alive. So she is able to right her wrongs, so to speak, and try to save her sister. Or at least that's kind of the idea of the book, that she wants to be able to solve what really happened and make sure that her sister doesn't die this time around. And there are some kind of rules in place about what she's allowed to do and isn't allowed to do. She has kind of like a guiding angel that's giving her some information, but not at all the information that she needs. But anyway, I can't really tell you anymore because it would be spoilery, but it's just very action-packed. There's Halloween parties, there's costumes, and I did read it at Halloween. I started it a few days before Halloween, thinking that I would just read a little bit until Halloween and finish it on that day, but it was too good and I finished it before Halloween, and I'm fine with it. I would maybe even read this again, like as like a Halloween reread or whatever, even though I know how it ends, and I don't particularly like how it ends, but that's just mystery and thriller. They just end in a certain type of way, and I never feel satisfied with it, but I think that's the point. But this one, another YA mystery thriller, I just love them. This is not the last one on the list. But there was one particular scene that I remember from this one that I just want to just give the author some special credit for. So you're following Alice, and she's a teenage white girl, which is not to say, like, there's nothing said about that. Like, you just happen to know that she's a teenage white girl. And she's going through all these antics, these wacky situations that you can only find in books like these. And she's running from the police. She's catching rides with strangers. She's just doing stuff. And then at one point she encounters her friend, who is a black guy. And Alice is actively running from the cops. And she's like, oh, come on, we gotta go. And her friend is like, girl, you can do this. I can't run from the police. Are you kidding? Do not wrap me up in this. And it's just like a very small scene. It doesn't like, it doesn't try to be anything more. Like, there's not like a teachable moment where they sit down and have a conversation about the topic or anything like that. It's just, it kind of draws attention, I feel like, at the perfect moment, where like you literally have not thought about it. You haven't thought about the stuff that this girl is able to get away with. And then whenever she encounters her black friend, like, obviously, like, we live in America, and the black friend has to point out, like, I can't do that stuff. I can't do that stuff. And it was just kind of a reality, just like a hit of reality there for just a second. Kind of one of the best I've ever seen ways for the author to kind of insert something that needs to be said without feeling like they're trying to teach you a lesson, or that it's the author inserting themselves and the author like providing their viewpoint here just in the middle of the story you're reading. It didn't feel like that, and I thought it was just like the best placement I've ever seen of something like that. I just thought it was too good. But anyway, extra credit to Danielle Valentine for that scene, and also this book being amazing. I am debating whether I have enough voice to finish this video. We're gonna try. We're gonna keep going. So my number, what are we on now? I'm glancing down at my notes. They're on the floor. I don't know why, but number 6, my number 6 book is another YA thriller mystery. It is The Thrashers by Julie Soto. This is the last of my YA mystery thrillers on this list, but I just love them. I listened to this one on audio, which I definitely recommend. I thought that the narrators did an amazing job of changing their voices up for each character, because we have pretty much an ensemble cast, but we're only reading from the point of view of Jody. And what we've got going on is kind of, the synopsis implies that there's like basically this cult that follows this guy named Zach, and they're called the Thrashers. But the way it's actually presented in the book is that they're just a friend group, and they just happen to be friends with Zach Thrasher, and people call them the Thrashers. But Zach is very charismatic, and everybody wants to be his friend, but he doesn't necessarily like want to be friends with everybody. Like he's not mean to everyone, but he doesn't feel close to everyone. He just feels close with his little group that everyone calls the Thrashers. So Jody is a member of the friend group, and she feels like she doesn't add much value to the group. She feels like she's not the pretty one. She's not the athletic one. She's just not sure what she brings to the table. But like you as the reader see that she's great. Like she's very intelligent. It's very witty. Like it's just one of those teenager things. She's just very self-conscious about herself, and she is crushing so much on Zach, and he is not picking up what she's putting down. Not at all. And so this is kind of where we begin the story, with kind of establishing these things. And the it's Emily, I think. Emily, one of the friends, well, not really a friend, but Emily had, in the previous year, she had kind of infiltrated their group. She wanted to be friends with them so much, and just kind of inserted herself into their friend group, and really, really, really liked Zach, and was just trying to push her way into Zach's good graces and push her way into a relationship with him. And just the scenes that you get where they flash back to Emily interacting with the group are very abrasive. Emily is very just very abrasive, but you already know that Emily has died. Emily has ended her life before the book even begins. And then certain things start to unravel, and the police start to question the Thrasher group in connection with Emily's death. And throughout the book, you're kind of getting bits and pieces of the things that they maybe didn't tell each other about Emily, and the possibility that they could be involved in her death. And Jody, of course, has secrets of her own and connections to Emily of her own, and she's really the one that was closest to being Emily's actual friend. And so she has a lot of Emily's personal information that the others don't have, and that the police don't have, and she's going to use that information to try to piece together what actually happened to Emily, and whether or not her friends were actually involved in the death. And there's a really great little romance that develops. It doesn't seem like the time or the place for a great little romance, but I was really invested in the little romance that we got. And there's also an element of the supernatural. Like, it seems like Emily is haunting the group, but they always explain it away, sort of. And you get to, it just almost has a speculative touch to it, which I love. I love it. And I definitely would recommend this on audio. I didn't tandem read it or anything, so I can't say did I enjoy it more than physically reading it. I don't know, but I loved the audio. Okay, we've reached the top 5. My voice is still going. So this year I did a thing. That most others have done many years before me. I read my first Emily Henry. I don't like romance. and here we are. How did we get here? This is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I decided after I read this that maybe I am a romance girly, and I've read a lot of romance since this book. Some that I sort of liked and most that I didn't like at all. But I still don't think I'm a romance girly. But this book was for me. So we've got Poppy and Alex, and they've been friends for a long time. They go on a vacation every year. Like, whether they spend a lot of time together over the course of the year, irrelevant. They're going to go on a vacation every year. And they always have a great time. You get to go through their years of vacationing together. You get to experience those other trips with them as well. There's chapters of those. And then you're experiencing like their current day as well. So it's fun for like, I read I read this in the summer, and it was fun to like have all the vacation-y things going on. And so I enjoyed that aspect of it, like the travel, but also I really enjoyed the relationship. I just thought that these characters were just fantastic. I loved Poppy so much. I can't relate to her because she's like so much quirkier and smarter than me, but I adored that character. I have to read more Emily Henry. I probably won't start with the great BBL or whatever from this year that no one seemed to like, but I'm gonna definitely have to pick up more Emily Henry. I'm just trying to pace myself because I feel like they're gonna be favorites, and I don't want to just have a whole list of Emily Henry at the end of the year. So I'm gonna try to slowly bring some more Emily Henry into my life because this was fabulous. This was fabulous. I had such a book hangover after this. I couldn't get into anything else because it wasn't this. And if anyone hasn't read this, highly recommend. Number 4, we are almost to the top. I feel like this one is probably the most contentious one on this list. I feel like this is gonna be on somebody's like worst books of the year, but this is Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. It's by Grady Hendrix. Grady Hendrix has really solidified himself, I think, as a favorite. I now have read 2 books from Grady Hendrix, and I have 2 5 stars from Grady Hendrix. I love the writing. I love the writing. This book, I think I would have liked even better if it wasn't horror, if there was nothing speculative, if it was just Grady Hendrix writing about these pregnant girls in the 70s. I would have been fine. I would have been fine. I mean, the horror stuff is also fine, and I get it. It does take it a step further, but I would have liked it just fine without any of that stuff. What I can't understand though is Grady Hendrix is a man. Grady Hendrix is a man. This book is about young girls who are pregnant out of wedlock. And it's the 70s. It's the 70s, right? Yeah. The summer of 1970. So there are like homes that families send their girls to when they are pregnant and it's not a good situation. They will send their girls to these homes to just be tended to until the baby comes. Then they take the baby, put the baby up for adoption, and send the girl home as if nothing ever happened. And just everybody lies about where she's been. Nobody shares their real name when they're at the house so that they can just go back to their life, and none of this will have ever happened. We're following Fern, who is like our main character, but there's also other girls who are featured prominently in the book, and it is very sad. It's very sad. Like the situations with their families are very sad. How conflicted they are about their babies is very sad. How the handling of the girls, like just how no one gives them any information. They don't know what to expect. They're not even like able to be aware of their own bodies. They don't know what's going to happen with childbirth. They don't know what's going on. Nobody will tell them anything. They just whisk these girls away before they go into labor so that the other girls just have no idea. They have no idea what it's going to be like. And it's so sad. And then we also have the speculative element where maybe they've encountered a witch and they get this magazine that teaches the girls how to maybe do witchcraft, and they do a few things and maybe it works, and then they dive headfirst into that, and the book really kind of goes from there. But there is a scene of childbirth in this book, and I just don't understand how a man could write it. Like I was just flabbergasted the whole time. Like, I have given birth. I know what it was like. Like I didn't have the epidural or whatever. Like, I felt it. I know what it was like. And how did he capture it? How does he know? Sir, how do you know? I was absolutely amazed. I thought that it was just really well done. Just so respectful towards women, and so respectful towards like mothers who make any choice, like mothers who choose to keep their babies, mothers who choose to put their baby up for adoption, mothers who choose not to be mothers. Just very good. I just thought it was very good. Like I guess I could see how people would hate this. I can't though. If you hated it, I'm sorry. Like I do understand that like people don't have the same opinion as me. I get that. But yeah, I loved this so much. I also loved How to Sell a Haunted House, which everybody hated. I just think it's so emotional and so impactful. I have cried in both Grady Hendrix books I've read. So that's 2 horror novels that have made me cry. I just think that is just fantastic. A fantastically written book. We've made it to the top 3. So, my third favorite book is Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. And I really had a hard time with between this one and Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, but I ended up going with this one because this is the other one I was talking about when I talked about Station 11 that I read after a 5-star. And I actively was ready to hate this. I had just finished, it was the book you're going to see next, my number 2 spot book. I had just finished that one and I said, that is a favorite of the year. That is a wonderful book, a favorite of all time. And whatever I read next is going to be a dud. It's just going to, let's just get through it. I'm going to wish it was the other book and let's just get through it and move on. And the whole time, like I open it up and I start reading it and I'm like, yeah, I hate this. Yep, it sucks. I don't care anything about this. I don't like this character. And then just somehow I gave it 5 stars. Like, what? I don't know. I really loved the writing. There were times where I went back and reread a sentence because it was just so well written. It was funny. Just the wit about it. I just thought it was so funny and just very well done. This book is basically about a girl falling in love with a house, and I liked it. I mean, there's a man there as well. So we are following Opal, and what is the guy's name? What is the guy's name? Arthur. So we're following Opal, and she's not a nice person, and she's very abrasive, and I didn't want to like her. And she's struggling. Her mother has passed away, and she's trying to take care of her younger brother, who is adamant that he doesn't need taken care of, but he does. He needs taken care of. And Opal is having to work whatever job she can get. She's in like this dead-end town and there's not much she can do. And so she's working and trying to make ends meet and trying to do the best she can for her brother. And she gets a job at Starling House where Arthur lives, and he employs her as like a housekeeper. He doesn't really want to do this, but he does, thinking that it will run her off because the house is a disaster. But it turns out that the house is like alive, and Opal relates to it a lot better than Arthur does, really. And so begins the connection with the house and Opal, and then also the connection between Opal and Arthur. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much. And then the actual like backstory of all of this and why the house is alive, and all of the history that goes along with it, and the history of the town, and Opal's actual origins and things like that, all are revealed. It's a little book, and all that's in here, and it's all paced very well. It's all told very well. Like, I don't feel like there were a lot of threads left dangling or anything. I just thought it was like really masterfully done. Like, when I went into it actively thinking I would dislike it, actively wanting to dislike it, and yet still I loved it. So I feel like that's like a perfect example of like the exact book I needed at the exact right time. And here we are at the top 2. What I think is tragic about this second place book is that I think in any year for like the past 5 years, maybe 4 years, I don't know. But I think this book would have been my favorite book of the year on lots of other years. But this year it didn't make it because I just because my number 1 was just so good. But this is The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. I adored this. Look at this chunkster. It's a thick book, and I went into it not knowing that it was the beginning of a series, and I probably would not have picked it up if I did know that. So I'm glad, because now there's going to be more that I get to read. Usually I like to read either completed series so I can just go ahead and finish them, or standalones, because I don't usually do well with the first book in a series and then later the second book coming out and I don't have interest in it anymore. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think I'm interested for the long haul with The Raven Scholar. So this book, we're following Nima, and Nima's a great character. She is just basically kind of along for the ride, because this there's tons of plot in here. Tons of plot, and Nima just gets sucked into every single thing. But it makes sense. It doesn't feel like gratuitous, like the author's just like writing Nima into these situations so that she can have just more plot happening. Like it all makes sense. It's all necessary. All these pages, they are necessary. But Nima is kind of an outcast, I guess. Like for most of the actual present day, like she seems like she's gathering a lot of friends, but her past, she is an outcast. And she has made a lot of enemies, but she does one thing that gets her promoted to a very high-ranking position in her society. So I don't know if I want to try to explain the whole situation of this world, but we've got everybody's affiliated with one of their kind of animal gods, basically, or deities. And Nima is a raven. She's affiliated with the ravens. And everybody has like a different affinity depending on the animal that you're associated with. We've got foxes that are more sly, they're better at sneaky things, and then the ravens are the scholars. They're the intelligent, smart. I mean, there's other intelligent ones as well, but they're known for their intelligence. But anyway, she's promoted to a very high-ranking position in the court because we have a king, and there's all sorts of rules about the king. But for the sake of the video and time, the king is about to not be king anymore. And there is an event that must determine who's going to be the next king, or emperor, I think is what he's referred to as. And Nima, of course, she gets wrapped up into it, of course. I thought whenever I started this that I wasn't gonna be happy because at the beginning you are following a different set of characters, not Nima, and you're thinking you get invested in who you're following, and then certain things go down and you realize that there's no possible way that you could be following those people anymore. And then it switches to Nima, and I was like, oh, but I liked those other people. I liked those. I wanted to be in that person's head. And then, like, as this book goes on, I start to realize that I like every character. I like every character in this book. If this author wants to write a book from the perspective of literally anybody, just open a page and pick someone, I'll read it. I loved all the characters, not necessarily like loved them. Some of them were bad people, but I still loved reading about them, and I would read a book about them. The characters are just wonderful. All of them have so much personality, so different from each other. I would say so memorable, but then if you asked me a bunch of their names, I wouldn't remember. But I don't think that remembering somebody's name is like the most important thing about remembering them. I'm sure some people would argue with that, but I do remember the feelings of reading about these people. The fox guy, whose name I don't remember, but I liked him so much. And then the guy who's the head of the bull society, I loved him. I just so many great characters that in the beginning they do such heinous acts that I think I could never even, like, I see their name come up on the page and I'm like, I hate that guy. And then by the end of the book, I'm like, oh, I hope he's okay. That's what this book did to me. It did so many things to me. I want to read, I know Antonia Hodgson has another series, and I'm just going to have to read it. I'm going to have to. I hope it's as good, but this is a true talent. This author has a true talent, and I definitely will continue this series. I don't know how long it's going to be, and I don't care. I'll read it all the way. My number one book, I read this, I think, in January or February, and I vlogged reading it, and I think I said in the vlog that if this wasn't my favorite book of the year, then I'm about to have the best reading year of my life. And I do think I had an outstanding reading year. I think there were a lot of great ones, and it was hard to choose favorites, but nothing ever came close. Well, the Raven Scholar came sort of close, but there was never a debate. There was never a debate on what number one was going to be. It's going to be Beautyland by Marie-Helene Bertino. I'm just happy to be here doing this video. I knew when I read it, I was like, when I make that video at the end of the year for my favorites, I can't wait to just put Beautyland where it belongs. At the top, wildly above anything else. This is, if somebody asked me what my favorite book of all time, this is probably what I would say. I enjoyed it that much, was impacted by it that much. So the thing about this book is when you say what it's about, it sounds not great. It sounds dumb, but it's not about what it's about. So we're following Adina from the moment of her birth, and the moment of her birth is also the moment that like a satellite is sent off into space to like try to communicate with life outside of Earth. And Adina, in her young childhood, suddenly finds herself in possession of this fax machine, but also like in communication with what she believes is extraterrestrials via this fax machine. So she thinks she's talking to these aliens, and they send her stuff and she sends them stuff with this fax machine. And that sounds, I know what you're thinking. That does not sound fun, but it's not about that. Like, that is the setup and you need to know it. But what she's doing is the extraterrestrials have tasked her with telling them things about humanity, telling them things about her life and her experience of being human. They want to know what being human is like. And she obliges in the most fascinating ways. I love her observations of humans, her observations of the things. It goes through her whole life. So her young child observations, her observations as a teenager, her observations at college, and her young adult life, like just all of these things that she sees and she writes down, and she sees it in such a unique way, unlike pretty much any other character I've ever read. And it's fascinating, and it makes you feel so connected to other humans just for the simple fact that they're human, and that there are things that we just do. There are things we just do that you just get it. When she says something, it seems very simple, but you're just like, yes, that is what it means to be human, to be here on Earth. And like, to be a book about a possible alien, it just says so much about what being a human on the Earth is like, that I just feel like it was the perfect way to organize it. And also like a person who kind of feels alien within their peer group or within their family, which is something that Adina kind of grapples with. And just, it's just so good. And then you don't ever find out if she's actually talking to aliens. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if she is or if she isn't. I don't know that lots of people will love this book, but I feel like it's important. And if you want to know more about me, then I would recommend this book. This is the perfect thing for me. I just really, I felt every single word. I would probably highlight this entire book. I should go back and read it again and just highlight everything. When I first read it, it was a library book, so I couldn't. But now I have my own copy that I will cherish forever. Okay, that was my top 10 favorite books for 2025. Sorry if I've jump scared you. I'm in a different outfit. It's a different day. But the first time I recorded this outro, it didn't happen. The footage is gone. So I'm gonna say goodbye to you again today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love to know what your favorite books were of 2025. I know that I rambled a lot, and I always ramble a lot. That's just my personality. So I am glad if you sat all the way to the end of this video. Thank you so much. Even if you skipped some stuff and you got here, thanks so much. If you'd like to hear me ramble some more at another time, then perhaps consider subscribing to my channel. And if you just love end of the year content like this, then I also have a least favorites of 2025 video that I will link to somewhere around here and in the description below. Thanks again for being here. Have a happy new year, and I will see you again soon. Bye.